Hey everyone, so today we're going to make these half colored heart earrings. As you can see here, we've got one side that is white, one side that is red. Feel free to choose your own colors. Here I'm going to use red and white in this example tutorial today, and I hope you enjoy. We'll be able to get some heart earrings created for you, and then you can create this for your friends or make them for yourselves, whatever you would like to do. But here are the hearts, and let's get started, guys. So a few of the materials that we're going to be using today, of course we will have red and white yarn. So if you have thread or some type of yarn thread, feel free to use that. I'm using my 4-ply cotton yarn, and all I'm going to do here is pull one strand of my cotton yarn apart, and I'll pull that from the rest of the strands over here, as you can see. And just be very careful. So like I've pre-cut a little bit of yarn, maybe about 2 meters worth of my red, and then about this much I will need. If I need any more, I'll just continue to use 1 ply of red yarn, and I'll do the same with my white yarn as well. Next, I'll be using a 0.9mm hook, as you can see here. If you require a smaller hook, feel free to use 0.75, 0.5, things like that. You will also need a very sharp and small needle. And the reason why it needs to be sharp is because you need to get into those stitch spaces as you're sewing. And then you will also need a pair of cutters, and then of course you will need some fiber filling, although you don't need that much fiber filling. I'll need more than this, but this is what it looks like. It's just the inside of a cushion or a pillow or something like that. Very easy to buy as well. So those are the materials. All right, let's get started. So here I'm going to start off with my red cotton yarn, just 1 ply here, and I'm going to make a magic ring. So I'll use my 0.9mm hook here, and I'll make a magic ring. Feel free to check out my other videos, my lesson videos on beginner crochet tutorials, where you'll learn how to make a magic ring if you don't know how to do this. I wouldn't recommend jumping straight into micro crochet. If you don't know how to crochet, check out those tutorial videos first, then probably crochet regularly. You can do everything that I'm showing you here with regular yarn, so 4-ply cotton yarn and a 1.9 and up to a 3mm hook as well. So feel free to practice that first before you go ahead and try micro crochet. But if you're an experienced crocheter or relatively good at it, then micro crochet should be quite easy for you as well. It's just using a smaller hook and smaller piece of yarn or thread here. So we're going to make a magic ring, and then we're going to crochet 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. Now I always try to make that first stitch a little bit loose compared to my other ones, and that way you can get inside that first stitch on the next round. So that's my 2nd single crochet stitch, my 3rd. Remember, we want to make 6, so here's number 4, here's number 5, and finally number 6. So this will complete my first round over here. As you can see, I just might fix up this last stitch, but I think we're pretty good. Okay, so the next thing we want to do here is grab the yarn tail from our magic ring and pull it ever so slightly. Pull it quite tightly so you close the gap over here and you've got no spaces left there, but don't pull too tight because you don't want to snap your yarn either. I've had that experience before and it's not fun. You don't want to snap that yarn, so just be wary of the tension that you're using. I'm going to now insert my hook into that very first stitch that we made in the first round, and we are going to start crocheting in a spiral. So we're not going to finish our rounds with a slip stitch and chain 1. No, we're just going to crochet in a spiral. So I'm going to start the 2nd round at this very moment, and I'm going to make an increase. Increase just means 2 single crochet stitches in the same stitch space. So you can see the pattern written at the bottom of the screen as well, in case I'm speaking a little bit too quickly for you or moving too fast. So here we're going to make another increase. We will make 6 increases in total, because remember we had 6 single crochet stitches in the first round. Therefore we can have 6 increases in the 2nd round, giving us a total of 12 single crochet stitches in the 2nd round. So there is my 3rd increase right there. Then I'm going to make the 4th increase, 1 and 2. Then I'll make the 5th increase over here, 1 single crochet stitch and 2 single crochet stitches, and finally finishing with our 6th and final increase, 1 single crochet stitch and number 2. So there's the 2nd round finished right there. Now for the 3rd and 4th round, so this is 2 rounds now, you're going to be completing 12 single crochet stitches. So third and fourth rounds, 12 single crochet stitches. So there's number 1, number 2, and now I'll just be counting for you essentially. Number 3, so hopefully you can follow along. Number 4, don't forget, if you can pause the video if you'd like. Number 5, number 6, but I'll show you how this is done anyway. Number 7, number 8, number 9, 10, 11, and finally 12. So we've just completed one round there, which was our third round. And now we'll just do that one more time until we have 4 rounds completed. So again, fourth round is just 12 single crochet stitches. So here's number 1, number 2, and just be gentle and take this slowly for yourselves. Number 3, number 4, no need to rush. If it seems like I'm rushing, pause the video, no problem. Number 5, number 6, 7, the 8th stitch right here, number 9, 10, 2 more to go, 11, and finally our last stitch, single crochet stitch, here we go, number 12. And there we go. So let's just turn this the right way around now, because we want to make sure our heart is facing the right way and that we're crocheting in the correct stitch spaces. So here we go. We've just made one top of the heart in red. And now what I'll do is I'm just going to leave this here. I'm going to pull the yarn through. I'll cut the yarn just a little bit, maybe over here, if you can see that. Cut the yarn. I'll pull it through. You just be careful of this because it will be very loose at this point. So just be mindful of that. But there we have it in red. And now what we want to do is you want to do exactly the same as what you've just done in red, but with white yarn this time. So remember, start with 6 in a magic ring, increase, giving you a total of 12. Then rounds 3 and 4 will be 12 stitches in the round. So once you've done the white, then come back and we'll continue on. How about that? Okay, so you've probably just finished your 12th stitch in the 4th round. As you can see, I've just done there. So now I've got my white and my red over here. And all I'll do now is I'm just going to make an extra stitch. So just one extra stitch, as you can see. But before I finish it, I'm going to add red yarn here. Okay, so let's grab our red yarn. And this is how we usually change the yarn anyway. So nothing too difficult here. Don't be scared. You'll be absolutely fine. So grab your red yarn and pull it through those 2 loops on the hook. And now pull the white, as you can see here, and pull a little bit of the red as well. Now at this point, we are ready to connect it straight to our red piece over here. And we can connect it anywhere, but what I like to do is where I have finished over here, I'll usually go one stitch before it. You've got to pull this though, and you'll see what we do. So I go 1 stitch before this. So of course there are a lot of yarn tails over here, so you just got to be mindful of all of that. But pull this here, and I'm going to start my very first stitch to connect both of these together. So here is the stitch number 1. Okay, so I'm just going to pull a little bit of those tails as well, just to tighten everything up. Now, remember how I said we started 1 stitch before? And then you technically have this next stitch, but I'm going to skip that. So I'm going to skip that and go to the very next stitch. So this will be my second stitch here. And then the tail that's left on the red side, I'm going to weave that in at the same time. So here's my second stitch right there. So that's number 2. Now we're going to complete this up to 12 stitches. So this will be number 3, and I'll weave in that yarn tail just to secure it as well. Here's number 4. Then we have number 5. Number 6 coming up. There we go. Oh, gotta start that again. Sometimes that happens as well. Your hook just kind of comes off your piece. So what did we say? We're up to number 5. I might have to count them because I forgot. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sorry. Okay, so we had 6. I had a feeling there was something wrong there. Let's go to number 7. Now, after a few stitches, you don't need to weave the tail anymore. Here is number 8. There we go. Number 9, 10, 11, right here, number 11, and we'll finish with number 12. Now, before you finish number 12, you want to grab your white yarn and you will weave this inside your 2 red loops that are on the hook at the moment. So just pull it a little bit, then weave it inside these 2 loops. Give yourself a little bit of space. It doesn't have to be too tight, but you just want to make sure that these connect very well together. And then I'm going to come into this stitch right here, so you can see where the red's connected. I'm actually going to skip that, and I'm going to come into the very next stitch over here, pull it nice and tightly, and this will be my first stitch for the white section. So that's number 1, and we'll complete 12 to finish that. Number 2, you don't need to weave any of the red at this point. Number 3, number 4, number 5, coming up will be number 6, so we're halfway in the white. 7, 8, 9, 10, 2 more to go, 11, and number 12. Well done. Now when you finish number 12, you want to grab your red yarn again, and just before you finish it with the white, instead you'll finish it with the red. Now give yourself a little bit of space this time. So I don't want to pull this yarn. I will give it a little bit of space. You can even wrap it around a little bit, because you want to have the space, and you'll see why as you're crocheting. Okay, it's because you want your heart to form that beautiful 3D shape. You don't want any part of it to be very tight or anything like that. So just give yourself a little bit of extra yarn as you change your yarn colors from here on out. Now this will be the next round. So we've done 5 rounds altogether. This will be number 6 round, and the 6th round is the same as the 5th. So 12 in red, 12 in white. So let's do that now together. So coming here, we'll do 1 crochet stitch, 2, and then number 3. Turn this inside out. You can see the red kind of makes its way kind of inside out there. Here's number 4, number 5, 6. Got 6 more to go in red, so this will be number 7 here. Number 7, 8, 9, 10, 2 more to go, 11, and number 12. And just before you finish that 12th stitch, remember we're changing the yarn color back to white, and give yourself a little bit of space as well. So don't fully make this tight. Give yourself a little bit of a wrap before you pull it in. So there we go. So that's number 12. And then we're going to continue on from here in the next white space, and give your red yarn a little bit of a tug as well, just to tighten that up. So you don't want to tighten the changed color, but you do want to tighten the color that you were previously using, if that makes sense to you. Okay, so there we go. Now we've got 12 more stitches to go in the white, so let's do that. 1, 2, and just always turn it the right way around so it doesn't get stuck there. This one will be number 3, number 4, number 5, 6, only 6 to go to finish this round, 7, 8, 9, oops, all right, so now we can start the white. So let's go inside our first stitch, which is over here. So this is number 1, then we've got number 2, number 3, number 4, 5, and 6 halfway through in the white. So we've got 6 more to go. So that's another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Don't forget to pause the video at any time if I'm going a little too fast or explaining a little bit too quickly here. Okay, so we've made 6 rounds, half with white and half with red. Now we do have to change the yarn color, as you probably are aware. You can also chop these yarn tails over here that you don't need long stretches of as well, so just be mindful of that. So I'm just going to chop all of those. And what we will do now is, oh, I've got it a little bit tangled all over here. So what we will do now is something, so let's change the yarn first of all. So change the yarn to red, and now we are going to do 4 single crochet stitches and then a decrease. So we'll repeat that pattern 4 times. So here's my first single crochet stitch coming up. There we go. So that's number 1, and then we have here will be, get those yarn tails out of the way, here will be number 2, number 3, and number 4. Then you want to decrease. So this will be the very first decrease. So you make the decrease by going in the front loop of the first stitch, then the front loop of the very next stitch. Make sure you get that front loop. Then pull the yarn. Oh, okay, let's try that all again. So I'll just finish that 4th stitch over here. I'm going to make sure we get this right. So I'm going to try and show you a little bit easier. So front loop of the first stitch, front loop of the second stitch, pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through again. So that is what is known as an invisible decrease. Now you want to do it again. So here's number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you want to make the invisible decrease. So front loop again, pull the yarn through, and just before we finish, we want to change our yarn color to white. So let's go ahead and do that. Mine is a little bit tangled over here on this snowflake that I have, so I'll have to untangle it first. So okay, so I'm pretty sure I've just untangled it. There we go. And now we're ready to change the yarn color to white. So let's change the yarn color. I accidentally chopped this off. You probably noticed that before, which I did not want to do, but I must have been not paying attention very well. So we're just going to weave that through, as you can see. Then I'm going to come in this next space and I'll weave in the yarn, the white yarn tail over here. So weaving in the white yarn tail only, we don't need to weave the red. And we'll do the same thing. So 1, 2, number 3, and number 4 stitch. And now we have a decrease. So let's make the decrease here. Remember, the invisible decrease is always front loop again, pull the yarn through, and pull the yarn through. Now we're going to be doing a lot of those decreases, so do try to get used to them as best as you can. All right, another 4 stitches, single crochet stitches that is. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you have a final decrease to make. So here's front loop, pull the yarn through, and guess what? Of course, we need to change the yarn color to our beautiful red over here. So I'm going to give the red a little bit of space as well, not make it so tight. Pull that through. Now we can pull the white yarn tail like so. All right, now the next round is quite easy because we'll be just doing how many do we have? We've done 4 decreases. We started with 24 in the round, so now we have 20 single crochet stitches in the round. And so now what we want to do is make 10 stitches in red and 10 stitches in white. So let us start that now. So 1, no more decreases here. 2, 3, 4. Then we have number 5. So this is half of the round at least. So that's 5. Then we have 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 for red. And before we finish that 10th stitch, you know what? We need to change the yarn color to white. Give it a little bit of space as well. Pull that through. Pull the red yarn tail just like so. And now we have 10 white single crochet stitches to make right now. So that's number 1. Here's number 2, number 3 over here, number 4. Just be careful never to go in the same stitch twice. These are very tiny stitches, so do be mindful of that. Here's number 5, then 6, 7, 8, 9, and lucky last 10. And before we finish that 10th stitch, we're going to change our yarn color again to red. Leave a little bit of space. As you can see, I've got a little bit of space. I'm not making that very tight. I'll come in here, I'll pull it through, and I'll pull the white yarn tail below like that to really secure that in place. Now this next round, we're going to be making 3 single crochet stitches and then a decrease, and we do that 4 times. So here we go. Let's start. So 1 single crochet stitch, 2 single crochet stitches, 3 single crochet stitches, and of course our invisible decrease. So let's make that invisible decrease. First loop, second loop, pull the yarn through. First invisible decrease done. So now we repeat 1, 2, 3, and now we make a decrease here. Front loop of the first, front loop of the second, pull the yarn through, and change the yarn color to white right here. You guys are doing excellent. So proud of you. Okay, so we're changing that yarn color to white right now. Pull the yarn tail of the red. Let's repeat 1, 2, and 3 in white. Don't forget that decrease coming right up right now as well. So there's the invisible decrease, and repeat it one last time to finish off this round. So 1, 2, 3, and of course a decrease to finish the round. And don't forget, as we always say, change the yarn color. Give yourself a little bit of space as well with that red yarn. Don't make it too tight. Pull the white yarn, as you can see. And in this very next round, we're just going to be making 8 single crochet stitches in red and 8 single crochet stitches in white. Very simple here. So here's number 1. Let's get into both those front and back loops instead of just the front right there. So here's number 2. Let's continue all the way to 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and number 8. And here we can change the yarn color to white, as we want to do always. Give ourselves a little bit of a white yarn, and we'll pull the red as well, just a little bit. And now make another 8 single crochet stitches in white. Here we go. 1. Here's number 2. 3. You don't need to weave anything in, but sometimes it just catches, so I let it weave in. There's number 3. Getting in there properly. Here's number 4. Number 5. 3 more to go in this round to finish. 6, 7, and number 8. There we go. Okay. Next, of course, you know it. You always know that. Give yourself a little bit of red yarn space. Weave it in. Pull the white yarn tail here. Okay, here is another decrease round. So this time, you probably guessed it, we're doing 2 single crochet stitches. So here's 1, here's 2, and then a decrease. Right here is the first decrease. Front loop, decrease. Let's repeat. Single crochet stitch, second single crochet stitch, front loop, decrease. Now we change the color to white. Give yourself a little bit of yarn space, as always. I know I'm repeating myself a lot, but I hope it helps you guys learn as well and remember what you're meant to do as you're doing this. And it's what my brain tells me to do as I'm going through it anyway, so I'm just trying to speak out loud. Okay, so we'll do the same thing in white. So we've got single crochet stitch, and of course a decrease. So front loop again, Just make sure you get into those front loops. You can get this way close to your eyes as well. This is quite far away from me because I need to record this in the camera, but just be sure that you can bring this close to your face. You don't need to have this far away from you. Single crochet stitch, and finishing off with a wonderful decrease to finish that round right there. So front loop, at least I think that's the front loop. Yep, there we go. So pulling it through, change the yarn color to red at this point. Give yourself a little bit of space in the red, pull the yarn tail in white. And now we are up to the next round where we have 12 single crochet stitches in the round. So we're just going to do 6 in red and 6 in white. Very straightforward here, nothing too difficult. You're probably wondering when we add the fiber filling, this will be after this round. So here's one stitch, as you can see. Just pulling that red a little. So one stitch, 2 stitches. Here's number 3 single crochet stitch, 4, 5. There we go. Don't rush this. Number 6. Then we'll change to white. Give yourself a little bit of yarn space as well with the white. Pull that through. Pull the red yarn tail through and make another 6 single crochet stitches in white. Be sure only to get your hook inside 1 stitch at a time. Just be wary of that. 1, 2, 3 more to go, and then we finish this round, guys. Excellent job. I hope this is helping you, me explaining it as well. So this will be number 4, number 5, and number 6. Now, of course, we're going to change the yarn color right here. Very simple. There's actually only one more round to go after this point, so you guys will be fine. I'm going to pull this red a little bit more because at this point we are going to be adding our stuffing. Now let's see if we can find some stuffing here, some fiber filling or stuffing, it's otherwise known as. And I use a pair of cutters to kind of put it inside first. So what I'm going to try and do is focus one side at a time. So I'll put a little bit of stuffing maybe in the red portion of our heart. Remember, we've got a lot of yarn tails inside there where we've had to change the color all the time. Now, if you're, I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning, but if you're not wanting to change yarn colors all the time, feel free to just copy this pattern with just one color. It should be fairly straightforward with just that one color as well. Okay, so I'm going to try and use a pair of cutters and just push in my fiber filling as gentle as possible all the way into my heart. Be mindful of all of the pieces of threads that are laying in there, so you might have to wiggle your cutter or whatever you're using to help you get the fiber filling inside. I recommend a pair of cutters just because it makes it easy to condense the fiber filling inside whatever space you have. So in this case, my cutters really condense the fiber filling inside my heart. Okay, so I've done this red side a little bit, so I'm going to now change to get some fiber filling inside the white side. So I'll do that now. And once I've got it in the white side, then I'll start filling it up and really poking it around just to get that shaping right. So I'll let you guys pause the video and do that, and then we'll come back once we've done that. Okay, so I filled up my heart with fiber filling as best as I could. Now what I've done, or what I will be doing, is I'll put my hook back where I've changed the yarn color to red, if you remember that. So remember, we changed the yarn color to red to finish off the round. And now we have one more round to go. This should be a fairly simple round, and it's actually going to be made up of 6 decreases. 6 decreases here. So let's start with the first decrease. Just be mindful as you're making these decreases to come into the right places. You don't want to come into the wrong stitch setting. You want to have a second decrease over here in red, then a third decrease. And sometimes when you add the fiber filling into your heart, you kind of squish up these stitches, though they're a little bit more hard to see. But still, there should be another red, which I can see, but it's just very small because it's quite tight here. So I'm just trying to move it a little to get under that. And there we go, I got under it, thank goodness. I just had to bring it a little closer to my eyes. Okay, so there we go, we've got the red done. We're finishing off this decrease with some white yarn, because remember we want to change the color here. And now we're going to continue with another 3 decreases. So again, this stitch is quite small here, so you've really got to use your eyes here. So I'm just going to pause the video and make that decrease myself. Okay, I've made the decrease, so here's the end of the decrease there. Then I will make the second decrease over here, as you can see, or hopefully you can see. There we go. And we have 1 more to go, and then we're done. We're almost done anyway. So here's our final decrease, and now we can pull the yarn through. So I'll just pull the white yarn through. This is pre-cut white yarn. We don't need this much, so I'll probably end up cutting it about here, which will give me roughly about a 20 to 30 centimeter tail. We don't need all of that anyway, but better to have more than less. So I'll cut some of the red, and I'm going to stick the red and any loose bits back inside my heart, like you can see here, and I'm just going to stab it in there with my pair of cutters. And now all I will do is grab my little needle right here. I will weave the white yarn tail through, and then all I will do to close up my heart is weave the yarn tail through the front loops of the 6 remaining stitches. So we start with red, right? So there's 1, 2 coming up, then number 3 in red. You're probably wondering, why don't you use red yarn here? Well, it makes it a little bit difficult if we do that. Then we'll start the white, so 4, then here's number 5, and finally number 6 front loop over here. Then we can pull it so that we close the gap, and I'm going to insert my yarn needle into the middle of that, come out in a white section, maybe over here. It doesn't matter exactly where, just as long as you're coming out in the white. On the white side you want it to match, right? White to white. And then from here I'll just come down 1 stitch and come out in another spot, just like this. And I won't pull this part too tightly here. I could even do it once more just to really secure that white yarn in place as much as I want to. So I might do that there, pull but not too tightly. Then I'll use a pair of cutters to cut the extra white yarn tail that we don't need, and I'll push that yarn tail inside the body to hide it. And there we go. There is the half colored heart, as you can see here. Now let's add the earrings. So at this point you're going to need your jump ring and a hook, and these are sterling silver plated or coated earrings here, and you want to invest in things like that as well so that they don't rust. You do want better quality earrings, especially if you're going to give them as gifts or sell them. Okay, so here what I'm going to be doing is I'm opening up my jump hoop sideways, as you can see there. Then I'm going to grab my heart, and then across the top here I'm going to enter the hook, or this jump hoop, inside the white, and then I'll come out at a decent spot in the red, so maybe somewhere over here. And just be careful as you do that as well, because you don't want to break anything. This is very delicate, and yeah, just be very careful and mindful of how you're using your tools here. Now, depending on which side you want to face forward, it's up to you. I'm going to put my little hook over here, as you can see. And then from here, I'm just going to close it sideways again. So always bring it sideways. Nice and neat. There we go. Putting it very close together. There shouldn't be any gaps. If there are, just adjust for them. Use your pair of pliers to really make sure you're closing this well, just like I'm doing now. And now all I'm going to do is twist it so that the 2 connecting points are facing inside my heart, because I just want to make sure that they are far away and they don't risk having the earring come apart from the jump hoop. So there we go. There is the first earring with our two sides, one side in red and one side in white, as you can see here. Now you just have to make the second one, and then you have a beautiful pair of earrings that you can give away as a gift or use for yourselves or whatever you want to do there. So there we go, guys. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial of your half colored heart earrings. Thanks, guys. Bye.